Hey Michael, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for staying up today. Definitely wanted to get a chance to catch up with you a bit and hear a little more on everything that you have kind of in store for us with Oro. So Oro is a algorithmic stablecoin project that we're currently launching here at Impossible. If you haven't done any of the staking yet, please go check us out at invest.impossible.finance and definitely read a little bit more on some of the research reports and other work that we've already helped showcase for the Oro project. But without further ado, I think I'll let Michael kind of explain a little bit more about what your kind of visions and goals are for Oro.
I see. I mean, Ouro is actually a long story, right? It all started in 2019, right, when we were both at the Binance research team, and back then we did a lot of publications on different centralized stablecoins like DSAP, Libra, right, all of those ones. And I think around the same time, a lot of the different decentralized or algo stablecoins started to pop out. Right back then, I remember there was Libra. Oh, sorry, not Libra. There's Terra, right? There's Terra and there's Basis, right? Those
Yes,
two.
Basis Cash.
Yes. But Basis was never able to execute at that moment of time, right? It came out only 1 year later. So we were doing a lot of research, and back then in the crypto world, one big thing that we didn't have is private stablecoins, right? Back then, if you want privacy, you cannot have stability, right? If you want stability, there's no privacy, right? And by privacy, we only mean transaction privacy, let alone IP privacy, this and that, right? So the original thought was that if Libra and DSAP, things like this are going to come out, this is not the ideal situation, right, for us crypto people, right? Then afterwards, you just have no privacy whatsoever. So back then, the thinking was, can we create a layer one, right? And then up on this layer one, we do some kind of mechanism for a stablecoin, right? That is more efficient than MakerDAO, say. Right? So that was the initial objective. But later on, I figured it's really too heavy, right, to do something like this. First, you have to build the layer one, and if you want privacy features, I have to do ZK, either ZK Snark or ZK Stark, right, which is super heavy already. And then we also have to think about IP privacy, right? IP privacy, we can use something like Dandelion, right? And perhaps some other initiatives also. It was just too heavy. And, I talked to many developers that they just won't do it, right? It's too heavy. It's going to take 1 to 2 years, right? So later on, I was thinking, oh, okay. So maybe building this thing like as a monolithic whole is too heavy, right? Can I just take one component of it, right, and make it better, right, or do it better or differently than all the other ones on the market, right? So I was thinking, all of the stablecoins right now, people don't seem to really have an incentive to hold them, right? Because when you hold them, you get diluted by USD inflation, right? You're constantly taking a loss, right? So I was thinking, so basically, BTC and ETH, right, that kind of stuff, right next door, and there's really no incentive for people to hold USD stablecoins for a longer period of time, right? Why don't you just buy into BTC and ETH, right? So USD stablecoins in general, in my eyes, wasn't an ideal store of value, at least for us people in the crypto industry, right? I mean, still, if you look at this year, I think a couple months ago, there's a report that says, more than 40% of the existing USD, like US dollars, are printed in the last 12 months. So, given the COVID situation or the microeconomic situation, right, inflation has been a real problem. And I think now it's a really good time for us to introduce Oro, right? This project that we offer inflation-proof as a service, right? I think we're the first one in the crypto world to offer this kind of service. And going back to how this works, right? So basically, the idea of this came from MakerDAO. Right. If you think about MakerDAO, it's really you always over collateralize, right? You over collateralize. Say initially the minimum range is 150, right? But most people they cannot do that, right? They have to do 300, 400%, right? To
Yeah,
avoid.
you mean over collateralization and the lack of efficiency there for the average user.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that's one thing. And people have to do this because they use the CDP model, right? People cannot just say, "Oh, okay, I give you $150 worth of assets, and I get $150 worth of stablecoin." Right? This is not possible, right? And by doing this, of course, MakerDAO has, created this protective buffer, right? Which made the platform very resilient towards, different market conditions, right? Um, And but back then I was thinking, hey, if everyone collateralizes 400%, and then next day MakerDAO says, oh, we're gonna raise the base price of DAI by 1%, right? And that would not create any issue whatsoever. And that would improve the overall protocol capital efficiency, right? Um, but of course, for MakerDAO, this is never possible because they use the CDP model. If they do this, if they ever do this, right, someone's going to get liquidated, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so how about let's actually use that as a great segue to dig deeper
Great,
into how Oro kind of keeps itself
great,
stable.
great. So basically, if you do a CDP model, it's never possible to do something like this. But so here at Ouro, we do a peer-to-pool model, right? So basically, say I'm a user, right? I can deposit any kind of asset that the platform supports, right? And basically, the platform would give me Ouro of equivalent value based on the price fees from Chainlink, right? And so at this stage, there are two things that can happen, right? So if it's a one-to-one collateralization, then obviously as the crypto market is very volatile and oftentimes we can have too much collateral in the reserve pool, right? Or other times, there's not enough collateral in the reserve pool to keep a one-to-one pack, right? Or meaning, we issue this many stablecoins, but then we will never be able to redeem, right, for the users. So in these two cases, what we do is since we have a governance token, right, we let the governance token play a vital role in this rate-based mechanism. So basically, what happens is that say if there's a deviation of larger than 3%, right, happening between the market cap of assets in the reserve pool and the market cap of Ouro that has been issued, right? A deviation larger than 3%, then say if it's excess collateral, right, in the pool, and we would use at least 70% of that, right, um, to conduct OGS token burns and also to form an insurance fund. And the rest of the money will be stored in the reserve pool. And so basically, this supports the base exchange rate for Ouro to increase. And there's a cap of 3% per month, right? And whenever there's insufficient collateral for the system, right? Since OGS already got all the pump from the, when the market is going up, right? When all the collateral goes up, is new OGS will be minted, right, to acquire more collateral from PancakeSwap, right? So this way we acquire enough collateral directly from secondary markets. But I mean, at times the market can be very, very volatile, and only using OGS might not be sufficient, right? And so that's why we have a insurance fund set aside, right? because OGS, the value of OGS can deviate as well, right? And to balance this out, the insurance fund basically will be a pool of mainly BUSD and some other assets, right? To use that as a hedge.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess in general, crypto right now today is still quite fragile, and I think it has a lot of scaling issues to
Right.
being able to make sure that we feel like this is something where our families can keep use it as a store of value, right? And use it on a day-to-day basis. I think the ways that you're thinking about this is very interesting, and trying to make sure that as we kind of structure a new kind of Web3 based economy, having a digitally native asset and currency that is both stable but also somewhat flexible to the market conditions is actually kind of the best of both worlds, and that's kind of what you're going after here with Ouro.
Indeed. And I think the other thing, right, just going along this line of design philosophy, is that if you see a lot of the algo stables out there in 2020 last year, right, what they have been doing is whenever there's excess collateral, is always moved uh, to to the holders of the governance tokens, right? It's basically the stablecoin holders don't get much at all, right? They just get the stablecoin, right, as a product. And all of the upside potential is given to the governance token holders. And this, I think, creates a lot of speculation instead of actual stablecoin adoption. Right? So in our design, we try to minimize this.
Got it. Yeah, I think you also mentioned a bit about an insurance fund as well, which I think is really important, as I think a lot of people have been kind of burned by some poor designs of other algorithmic stablecoins. I think that having something kind of in place to protect users in the worst case scenarios is really important. So would you mind sharing a little bit more on your guys' plan with your Ouro insurance fund?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So basically, the we have an insurance fund. Is basically we don't want to put all the eggs in one basket, right? And so the insurance fund will mainly be consisted of USD, right? And that USD came from whenever there's too much collateral, right, in the reserve pool, we move that out and we use pancake swap directly to swap that to BUSD. But I think going forward, because we only use the insurance fund as a hedge, right? We'd also like to store some, say, inverse index tokens, right? Say the market dumps, then the overall value should increase. And also, after the IDO, we're considering if it's possible to store some idea tokens, right, in there, and we could use that to participate in future impossible finance launchpads, right?
Awesome. Cool. Well, I think we did want to kind of share a little bit more on the testnet and some of the early user feedback that you've already gathered from one of the user groups that we kind of helped create alongside you guys. Maybe it would be a great chance to kind of screen share a bit and talk a little bit more on what you guys have been building.
Right. So what you are saying right now is basically the beta test interface, right? And the homepage basically is a simple dashboard, right? It tells you what's the current exchange price for Ouro on Ouro the platform, not on Pancake, not on the other places, right? So if you deposit assets, right, you will get Ouro based on this price showing here. And then on the right, there's some basic information about OGS, like the circulating supply, current market cap. Of course, the price will be very different, and the circulating supply will be very different, right? Because this is only in testing. And if we go to the next page, the reserve pool, right? So basically, we build a very much like a pancake swap-like interface, right? And from the top, you can select which asset you wish to use. Say it can be BNB, BTCB, or ETH, right? You can select any one of them, and at the bottom, then it will give you, depends on how much you want to swap, right? It will tell you how much Oro you will be able to acquire, right? Yeah, just like that. Yes. And at the bottom, it's a simple platform dashboard. Basically, it tells you how much asset is in the pool, right? And what's the respective prices and the 24-hour price change. Yep. If we go to farm, yeah, this is the LP token farm. Basically, if you have your LP token ready from PancakeSwap, right, you can deposit those tokens here and earn OGS rewards. Right? And please note, LP LP liquidity provision, the reward for this is the highest in the whole platform. So don't miss out on this. And if we go to the pools, right. So here we have single token staking, right? The reward for this will be a lot lower. And basically what happens is there's a single token staking for Oro. So basically extra incentive for Oro token holders, right? And then, but for Oro, you only get OGS rewards. And for BNB, ETH, and BTCB, basically all of the assets you store in here will be transferred to Venus to generate interest, right? They will generate some yield. And that yield, when you collect your reward, will be transferred to Oro, basically. It will be transferred into the reserve pool and generate Oro for you. And once you have the Oro, you can deposit back to the Oro staking pool. And these are all the features that will be available for the beta testing.
Thanks, guys, for kind of going through a lot of this. We definitely can't wait to play around with this more ourselves on testnet. And I think the Impossible community has already gotten a little bit of a head start. As always, our Impossible users are some of the most excited to try out new DeFi protocols and be a part of the next kind of wave of new things that are coming up. Impossible is really excited to be able to have Ouro as part of our launchpad and be able to hopefully usher in a new era of what people use as stable units of value within the crypto economy. So without too much more hesitation, let's make sure that if you haven't already staked already, do go over to invest.impossible.finance to get some more IDIA staked into the Ouro campaigns. Awesome. Well, really appreciate the time today, Michael, and we'll definitely hopefully have you on for another segment some other time.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.